Chapter 6, Section 2 deals with the properties of parallelograms. And we start out, there are 6 properties of a parallelogram. And I'm just going to kind of sketch a parallelogram over here to start out with. All right, it's a little bit of a rough sketch. The first property is that opposite sides are parallel. So the opposite sides are parallel. And I'm going to use those symbols right there, like the 2 L's next to each other for parallel. So this side is parallel with this side is parallel with this side. The next thing is that the opposite angles are congruent. So the opposite angles are congruent. And again, I used a little bit of shorthand there. That means that this angle is congruent to this angle, and this angle right here is congruent to that angle right there. The third property is that the diagonals must bisect each other. The diagonals must bisect each other. Number 4, whoops, I guess I should draw the diagonals right here. These 2 pieces would be congruent, and these pieces are congruent. The diagonals bisect each other. Number 4, your consecutive angles are supplementary or add to 180. Your opposite sides are congruent. Opposite sides incongruent. And the 6th thing that you can have, if you have one pair of sides, one pair of sides that is parallel and congruent, then that would make it a parallelogram. So looking at these first 8 examples, we need to determine if these are parallelograms. Well, right here, these 2 add to 180, these 2 add to 180. So that means your consecutive angles add to 180. So yes, that one would be a parallelogram. So I should move this up. Letter B, we only have one pair of opposite angles congruent. This is congruent. We don't know anything about those other ones. So that is not enough information to say that that is a parallelogram. Letter C, these sides are congruent. These sides are congruent. We need opposite sides congruent for it to be a parallelogram. So that will be a no. Letter D, this side, these 2 sides are congruent. These 2 sides are parallel. So this is a no. And let's look at letter D compared to letter F. This is when we have the one pair that is congruent and parallel. This one would be a yes. Right here, diagonals bisect, diagonals bisect. So that would be a parallelogram. Letter E, this side is parallel and these angles are congruent. So that would be a no. And for letter D, if we can get those 2 triangles congruent by side angle side, side side side, something like that, then we can say that it is a parallelogram. And if we use this reflexive thing, we would have angle, angle, side. And since the two triangles would be congruent, this side would match up. Those sides would be congruent. So you would have opposite sides congruent, opposite sides congruent, and that's enough to say yes, that is a parallelogram. On the next page, we're going to use some of these ideas, and I'm going to start by labeling here. DE is 74, DG is 31, and FCD right here is 42 degrees. First thing we are asked to find is CF. So if this is 74, CF will also be 74. And I guess I should say millimeters. Angle EFC. Well, if this right here is 142, these two angles are supplementary. And if we do 180 minus 42, this angle right here will be 138 degrees. And then the last one, if DG is 31, we know the diagonals are bisected. So that means DF will be twice that, which is 62. And again, I should do millimeters. In example 3, we have LM equals 28. LN right here is 26. And LKN, this angle right here, is 74. So first of all, KN is what we're trying to find, which is this segment right here, which would be 28. Angle NML is this angle. Opposite angles are congruent, so that angle would also be 74. And LO is this part of the diagonal right here. Since the diagonals are bisected, this piece is cut in half, and LO will be half of that, which is 13. Example 4, we have some expressions. First, we're trying to find YZ. Well, we know that these opposite sides are congruent. So we can do 6A plus 10 equals 8A minus 4. When you solve that, you subtract 6A from both sides, and you have 10 equals 2A minus 4. And then as you add 4 to both sides, 14 equals 2A, and A equals 7. We're not done yet. A is 7, so we need to put that in here. 8 times 7 is 56, minus 4 is 52. And to find angle Z, if we look at these two angles, those angles are not congruent. Those angles add to 180. So those two things add to 180. 9B plus 18B is 27B. Positive 2, negative 11 is negative 9. And that equals 180. From there we add 9 to both sides, and we have 27b equals 189. And when we do 189 divided by 27, our b equals 7. And substituting in here, we were trying to find angle Z. 9 times 7 is 63, plus 2 is 65. Example 5, we have a parallelogram. That means the diagonals bisect each other. So if we want to find JG, we can say 3W equals W plus 8. This side equals this side. Subtracting W from both sides, you have 2W equals 8. And when you divide both sides by 2, W equals 4. Then when we want to find JG, 4 plus 8 is 12. And the second one, finding FH, the diagonals bisect each other. So we have 4Z minus 9 equals 2Z. I'm going to subtract 4Z from both sides, and we have negative 9 equals negative 2Z. And when you divide both sides by negative 2, Z equals 4.5. We weren't asked Z, we were asked to find FH. Well, if I put this right in here, 2 times 4.5 is 9. Since the diagonals bisect each other, that will also be 9. And the length of the entire diagonal will be 18.